I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Reverend Richard Burdick, and it is my honor to welcome you into the Unity North Wednesday night experience. It really is an experience. It's not really a service, but it's a time of coming together, of minds and hearts and spirits coming together. And whether you be in the room tonight or whether you be online, we welcome you into this space in time. Tonight is a very special night. It's one I've been looking forward to for quite a while. A good friend and a member of our congregation, Kathleen King. We've been talking and meeting for quite a while now about a dialogue group, a discussion group where people who are going through challenging things in their lives could come together and talk very authentically, transparently about how we manage these waters of going through our earthly experience, especially with things like health concerns and chronic health concerns and things that we have to deal with this vehicle that we call our body on this earth school. And to talk about what we learn about ourselves, what we learn about the universe, what we find within ourselves because we have those conditions that we deal with. And Kathleen was passionate about having safe places to have those dialogues and to support and to love each other. Unfortunately, our beloved Kathleen made her transition yesterday, and so she's not able to be here with us physically. But boy, do we feel and sense and know her presence and her spirit here spiritually. We feel her heart and we feel her intention. And when thinking about this evening, she handpicked the people that are here on the panel tonight, some that could not be here, and I'll explain that when we get into the wrapping portion. But it's twofold tonight. Today is a night of empowerment. It's a night of remembrance. It's a night of deep sharing in honor of Kathleen, but in honor of spiritual community, to remind each other how much we are truly loved and to be present to each other in the miracle of our physical, our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual bodies, all working together in tandem. And so we're going to have a meditation for the next 25 minutes or so, and I'm one of the panelists that Kathleen was so very fond of, also a very good friend, and a healer who's been working with Kathleen throughout her journey for many, many years. Mindy Stritch is here, and she's going to be leading the meditation with me tonight. I invite you into her heart space and her spirit as we breathe together. Let's take a deep breath. And we're going to begin with this chant, and then Mindy will take it from there. Meditation, prayer, being always begins and ends with breath. And on that exhale, release anything that would keep you from being present to right now. If you're so led to sing these words with me, please do so, whether you be at home or in the room. I take one breath to let go, one breath to be here, and one breath to ask, what now? With each breath, God is near. As we close our outer eyes, let's be present to the miracle of the life that exists right now. I take one breath to let go, one breath to be here, one breath to ask what now. With each breath, God is near. I take one breath to let go, one breath to be here, one breath to ask what now. With each breath, God is near. Let's feel the calm safety that know we are enveloped by a light and a love, by a presence, a spirit that's holding us all right now. We'll sing one more time through this and invite you to hold these words, and then Mindy will lead us in our meditation. I take one breath to let go, one breath to be here, one breath to ask what now. With each breath, God is near. I take one breath to let go, one breath to be here, one breath to ask what now. With each breath, God is near. With each breath, God is near. With each breath, God is near.
I'd like to invite everyone to gently close their eyes, and let's take one collective deep breath together. Breathing in and breathing out together. Let each breath take you deeper into relaxation, knowing that it doesn't matter if we are all in the same physical space or not. We are all here as one in the presence of the divine. We sit together in a sacred circle, a container for healing. I'd like to ask that we weave the eternal soul of our precious friend Kathleen into our circle. See her light in the center as our hearts reach out and connect with her in this very holy space. This is where healing happens. This is where only love is present. Every one of us needs the grace of healing in some way. And when we pray for one person, we pray for the world. We all journey together. No one on this planet is alone. Yet we know that suffering is not so easily tolerated. being contained within a body that is struggling with pain, illness, or disease is not a simple thing, and neither is grief. Yet these heavy burdens can all be transmuted by love. In one way or another, we all share in these experiences, because one day we will all know illness. We will all experience loss. But that truth does not diminish the greater truth of the ever-present grace of compassion, understanding, empathy, and love. So take a deep breath into your heart and feel the energies of grace, compassion, understanding, empathy, and love.
Let there be grace, and let me be grace. Let there be compassion, and let each of us be compassion. Let there be understanding, and may you be understanding. Let there be empathy. Let empathy live as each of us tonight. But most of all, let there be love. And let us choose to be love right here, right now. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes to see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. In our first time of silent reflection, be love, for it is all that we are. In the silence.
At the top of your head, imagine an opening, a portal in which light enters, light that's being carried by each breath, light that's being illuminated in each cell, emanating from your heart, integrating into your mind, body, and spirit. Feel the light flowing through you. This light is infinite. This light is eternal. This light is you. Whole, divine, complete. Allow this light to dissolve all that is not serving you, all that is not love. We know that the grace of healing through the power of love is unlimited and abundant. And while we may never understand the pain and suffering that we all endure through our lives, when we come together, we can believe in the power and the possibility of healing. We are one collective immune system. Our collective intentions, our collective beliefs, our collective prayers, that is the medicine that makes healing happen. And so we journey together, walking each other home. May we all be guided, embraced, and held in the healing essence of love.
We are walking each other home. The thoughts that we hold tonight and share this evening are a part of the journey home. Not just for ourselves, but for all. Not just those that we know, but for all. We are walking each other home. Not just for those that we understand, or those that are having similar experiences. No, we are walking everybody home. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. No more pain. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. No more pain. No more pain. Hold the world in your heart. May all beings know love. May all beings know know peace. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. No more pain. No more pain. May all beings know love. May all beings know peace. Sit with me for a moment in our second period of silence, knowing peace for you, peace for your brother and your sister, peace for the earth, love and peace for all in the silence.
May the grace of healing be poured with abundance onto all living creatures. May that grace ease the suffering of humanity and Mother Earth and bring us ever closer to living as one in harmony, a community beating to the beat of one loving heart. When we come together to pray for each other, we hold sacred space and loving intention. We create a field of grace. We don't need to know how or to understand why. We just know we feel it in the depth of our souls. And that feeling can move the universe in a blink of the eye.
And so our brief time of reflection and stillness may feel like the blink of an eye or the beating of a heart quickly passing. But it can also feel like the most powerful moment where you and I have become one and remembered, or all of us here and beyond have remembered that we belong to each other in a great tapestry of God's magnificent creation known as us. And so as we bring our time of reflection and meditation to an end, let us hold peace for the entire universe. Peace, 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 peace on earth, peace on earth, peace, peace, peace for all the universe. Please join me. Peace, 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 peace on earth, peace, peace, peace for all the universe. One last time. Peace, 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 peace on earth, peace, peace, peace for all the universe. And so as we prepare to have our dialogue this evening, let us know peace within, peace without. Peace in every person who is speaking tonight and sharing at depth, being humble and vulnerable and transparent. Let peace be evident in all our questions. Let peace be evident in our silence. Let peace be evident as we look into each other's eyes and each other's souls. And know that this human experience is only defined and contextualized by that which we know spiritually. And so it is, and so we simply let it be. Aho and amen. Mindy, thank you for a wonderful meditation. The second portion of our evening is a dialogue, and some of you only come for the meditation online or in the room. If that's the only portion that you are here for, thank you for being here. We appreciate you being here. There's a basket in the back of the room if you need to leave, but I'm going to encourage you to stay because we have a powerful dialogue that's about to ensue. Some of the ideas in the meditation are going to be talked about. Mindy is going to be joined by a couple of friends and members of our community that are going to talk at depth about everything that we've just meditated about and how they've lived their life with those principles as the truth, maybe because they were forced to live that way because of their concerns. Right now, I'm going to invite those of you in the room to come forward. We're going to make a circle here. I'm going to make a circle in the front. I'm going to invite Becky Barnett to come up and join Mindy. And so we're going to make our way into a very real dialogue. So I invite those of you in the room to come forward. And those of you online to lean forward into the computer in front of you to get close, not just emotionally, but to allow your spirit. I'm going to go ahead and get that music stand. So I've, go ahead. Yeah. Show 'em. And as the room is being set up, and Becky is making her way up to the third chair up here, You know, these three ladies were purposefully invited into this evening's dialogue, into the Rapping with the Rev. As I mentioned at the beginning of our meditation, Kathleen King and I have been talking for several months about an opportunity to come together and to share openly and honestly about some of the challenges of having a human body. In particular, people that have empowered Kathleen's life and that she has walked with and spent time with as a coach and as a sponsor to help them move through their physical challenges, their earthly challenges, and they also with her. Now, we want to make reference, two of our panel members unexpectedly could not make it. But Mary Claire Scott was supposed to be here tonight, and she was exposed to COVID, so she's making sure that we're all protected, and we pray for her grandson who was exposed to COVID, and she's home taking care of her grandson and making sure that he's safe and that we're all safe as well. And the other person that was going to be on our panel is Sharon Sigler. Now, Sharon said she was going to tune in on Facebook and maybe type into the chat something that she might want to add to it. But these are two powerful ladies, and I'm sitting here with three rocks of spiritually minded and grounded people. When Kathleen and I talked about who we would want to have on a panel like this, these were names that came up. These were names that have demonstrated everything that I get to teach from this platform, everything that I have ever talked about. They are shining examples of having implemented these spiritual truths, have overcome chronic conditions that they will tell you a little bit about. And so, Becky, I am thrilled that you are here tonight. Deanna, I am thrilled that you are here. And Mindy, you were handpicked by the hand of God and by the hand of Kathleen King to be here, and me as the minister. We'll just go ahead and start with Mindy and pass the mic down. There's going to be opportunity for questions for those of you in the room and those of you online. But tell us just in brief, because I want to get to the juice quickly, who you are and why would Kathleen pick you to be part of a panel talking about these things?
Well, I'm Mindy Stritch, and I have no idea. I've known Kathleen for years, and we were friends, and I am a healer, and she was a client. And maybe she learned something. Maybe we taught each other something.
I think you did teach her, because she saw you as a rock for her as she walked through it, and she says you've been through similar things, maybe not the big C word that eventually took her life, but that you've dealt with things that you had to overcome in your life in order to be the healer, that you've implemented them in your life. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, it is the catalyst that made me become a healer unknowingly, unconsciously, but there's always something happening behind the scenes, right? So I was misdiagnosed for 25 years, but now I know I have a chronic condition called Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia. I know that's a mouthful.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. It's basically a malfunction in the body's autonomic nervous system, which controls a lot of things: breathing, blood pressure, blood volume, heart rate. And everybody that has this has different symptoms. For me, the main symptom is it's very difficult for me to stand up for long periods of time because I feel like I'm going to pass out. So things like exercise and being out on a nice summer day are very difficult for me to do because my body doesn't regulate the heat to keep my blood pressure and the oxygen levels going to my brain. So it's very easy for me to feel like I'm going to pass out. So the good news is it's not a life-threatening condition. And the not so good news is it's a chronic condition. So I had to learn how to manage it and cope with it. But as I said, it is the catalyst that has brought me to a more holistic way of thinking, and not only in my personal life, I like to say that my body has POTS. That's the acronym for it. I don't have it. My body has it.
Well, in my dialogue with Kathleen, she spoke of the chronic condition that you've had to deal with, but who you became in dealing with the chronic condition really touched her at depth. And I know that you being present to her as a healer and her to you was a powerful thing. Deanna Fleener is the first name that I threw out when we began talking about the panel that would be here tonight. This is one of my personal heroes. And you did not know Kathleen much at all. No. She didn't know you much as well, but she knew you through me and through our sharing about powerful women who have the ability to transcend any earthly condition. And so, Deanna, why don't you share a little bit?
Well, I've had issues with my spine for most of my adult life and had multitudinous surgeries on my back. It's interesting that yesterday I found on my Facebook memories that I had the last spinal surgery a year ago on the 11th. So I dealt with that. And the other thing that happened is I got hooked on opioids because of the surgeries that I had, and I was in the mental hospital for a while because of that, and that happened about, I guess, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. But the thing that's really in my face right now is I was diagnosed with metastatic cancer 2.5 years ago, and I had surgery and I did chemotherapy, and it has returned, and I've known that for about 3 months. And I really liked what Mindy said about, I don't say I have stage 4 cancer. I don't even say my cancer, I say the cancer's back. And because I don't want to be defined as, you know, the girl with the C word. So that's my mantra, is not to let it take over my life for as long as I have to live. And I don't know how long I have to live. But, so that's my story.
Well, I appreciate that. And one of the things I so appreciate about you, Deanna, is the open and honest, that nothing is hidden. And we walked through many of those steps, and you did with a lot of people in this community, and there's nothing hidden about it. There was no pretense. There was no need to hide at all, but to just be real as a human being and a spiritual being with what you were going through, physically and mentally. And I really honor you for that.
Thank you.
So when it comes to rocks, we're going to pass the mic to Becky Barnett. Kathleen, I wish I could have dictated all the words that she spoke about you, all the words that she shared with me about what a rock you were for her, a rock and a pillar of demonstrating strength. So Becky, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure, and you may not know me because I'm a new member and I participate mostly via the internet just because of driving, and I live about 25 minutes away, so it's a little bit challenging to get here, so as much as I'd love to. So my story started, a date I'll always remember, January 17th, 2015, and I'm going to keep it really short. But it took 18 months. I got really, really sick. Respiratory started. It started as respiratory. Went through a lot of hospital stays, and then finally about 18 months later, it was diagnosed as a severe mold allergy, and it turned out I had mold in my house. So my doctor's like, get out now. And I didn't know much about mold at the time, but it affects everything. It affects neurological, gastrointestinal, respiratory. That's what it affects for me. For other people, it affects different, and it's genetic. So as far as how much it affects you, if your body can get rid of mold out of the cells. So for the last 6 years, it's been challenging. And we've been through, I've been through a lot, but I'm better than I've ever been, and I'm going to get better and better. So, I think we're almost at the end, so, but it's not the first time I've thought that. So, and then, but just to kind of give you not financial, but materially, I had to move from my house. My doctor said, get out now. I moved into independent retirement community, and I've been now in an independent retirement community for a while, but I'm significantly younger than a lot of people there. And then I had a successful business that I started as almost a 25-year business, and I still handle a few clients, but basically I lost the business. And materially, my mom always and dad always told me, save for a rainy day. So I saved for a rainy day, and after about a year, a lot of the rainy day funds were going. I said, God, and Mother, you told me to save for a rainy day, but you didn't tell me it's going to be a hurricane. Anyway.
So storms happen, and I think that's a good example.
Yeah.
We have to deal with things as human beings having an earthly experience. But you weren't necessarily invited here today, any of you, or Sharon, or Mary Claire, or Kathleen, who was going to be here, because you've gone through conditions. You weren't invited here because you've dealt with difficulties that many of us would never have to deal with. You weren't invited here for any other purpose than you demonstrated spiritual truth and spiritual principle in the midst of the storm. That you put up a sail and you sailed to new places of being, new places of expression and strength and expression. I want to ask you, what did you learn about yourself? What are you continuing to learn about yourselves as you still deal with these chronic conditions? Because that's why you were invited here. You were invited to be here because you demonstrate to all of us, as we go through what sometimes comparatively would be a hangnail in my human experience, never anything quite as difficult. You're here because you became who you are. What did you learn about yourself, or what tools did you implement? Any of you can go first. It doesn't really matter.
I'll go first since I have the mic, but it took me until about 9 months ago to even say I had a chronic condition. So I kept saying, I'm going back to work, I'm going to work, and now I'm about to be retirement age. So you just never know. So. But I've learned a lot. So.
Did you, Becky, did you learn to be more honest? What I heard is you got really real with yourself and your experience.
I at one point I felt like Spirit came to me and said, do you want to stay or you want to go? If you want to stay, you got to make lots of changes. You got to change your whole life, pretty much. Because I was a workaholic. I wasn't eating well. I wasn't exercising. I lived by myself. I didn't have many friends. I mean, I'm still changing, of course, but I've changed a lot.
But there's a conscious decision, and this is something Kathleen talked about, is that she was making this decision herself. You said, I had to make a decision. Where did that come from within you to make the kind of decision, I'm here and I'm going to live?
I still felt I had things to do that I hadn't accomplished. Plus, I knew it would kill my mother if I left.
So that's important to recognize that, and we can go ahead and pass the mic on over, is that there were things for you to do, to be, to share, to express, that you still had gifts to give to the world, and that would inform your decision. Kathleen noticed that.
I'm still learning every day. But the first thing that comes to my mind is I learned how to stop being a victim. I grew up in a family, Jewish family, a lot of victim DNA in that group. And so it was always poor, poor me. Why can't I do this? My life is ruined and I can't play with all the other kids and live a normal life. It was always the glass half empty, not the glass half full. But what I learned when I had a choice, and I became aware that I had a choice, because for a long time I didn't know that I could be any different than that. And once I was blessed enough to go on this spiritual path, as I mentioned, because of this illness, and trying to figure out what was really going on, because the doctors weren't telling me what was going on. So I had to figure it out for myself. I realized that the more I let go of those negative beliefs and attitudes that were entrenched in me, and that I could let go of them, and then I did let go of them, I started to get better. Voila. right? Because the body heals when you give it a healthy environment, and the body continues to get sick when you don't. So that was one of the many catalysts that brought me again to becoming a healer. But to wrap that up, I learned how to not be a victim.
I think that's really important, and I want to explore that just a little bit before you pass the microphone. When we are living as a victim, how does that play into our healing? What are the things that the body responds to? How did your condition improve as you improved your mental attitude about, I'm not a victim to this condition. I'm not a victim to anything that's happening to me because I know who I am. That was a huge shift that you made. How did you see that play, and was it immediate? Some people think, well, okay, I had a thought that wasn't a victim thought, and now I should be well, and I should be healed, yet this is a chronic condition. There is a lot more going on than just a moment decision.
It seems, Richard, as if everything changes in a moment, but then there's an arc in which, you watch things change. It's sort of like deciding to start an exercise program. Something happens inside of you where you get motivated, and there's an energy that says, yes, I'm going to do this, but you may not see the results on the scale that day. So I think you see the emotional effects, or I saw the emotional effects, and how I felt better about myself before the physical effects started to take place. But how did it help? I mean, I stopped having to go to the ER every summer. I stopped having to get IV saline, when I was dizzy all the time. I stopped having to say, no, I can't do this, because I was so afraid to go anywhere, because what if I had an episode? And the only place I wanted to be when that happened was home in my bed. So I started to become more courageous. And we're being honest, so I'm not completely there yet. There are still some things that I am concerned about doing, but I'm okay with that. I'm not a victim, so I'm not going to blame myself or put myself down about it. I will sit with myself and decide what I think is the right thing for me to do. And as long as I'm taking baby steps forward and I see that I have come so far, I don't look behind me. I just look at how far I've come. And I'm okay with that.
I always say that's a good thing to do when you look at what's in front of you, to go, I have so far to go. But I do look behind me and go, look how far I have come. I did this.
Right.
If I did this, this is a piece of cake.
Right. And there really isn't anything there. It's only right here, right now, which is what
Is there
matters.
a connection as a healer and as somebody who's gone through healing between the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, and the spiritual body?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big duh. But it was important. You demonstrated that by not being a victim. The mental body was a part of the healing of the body, the physical body.
And I think that, from some spiritual perspective, some divine intelligence, and mystery and grace, I had to go through this to become a healer. It was all part of the plan. And I don't take that lightly. So I am grateful for what I've learned from this illness.
Great. So, Deanna, the floor is yours. You remember the question I asked?
I do.
We kind of went 100 places.
The things that I have done to be with my diagnoses, I start my day where I do not look at my device when I wake up. I purposely will not do that. I read meditation from Al-Anon. It's a daily meditation. And I also read a little bit in the Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, and highlight stuff. And I also journal. And then finally, I get a warm washcloth and put it on my eyes, and I meditate for a few minutes before I start my day. And the thing that came out, one of the things that was really powerful that came out when I've gotten really close to my siblings through all this. I have a brother and sister and a half-sister. And I was talking to my brother, and it just flew out of my mouth. And I said, I've always hated my body. And it's like, wow, I kind of knew it, but I had never really verbalized that. I've been a perfectionist all my life, and, I would look at myself in the mirror and I'd pick out the stuff that wasn't right, that was not perfect. And I'm not that critical now when I look at myself. I don't look in the mirror and go, my God, look at all those scars I have on my body. And, I love myself now. And the other thing is that in the 12-step program, they teach you that we only have the present moment. And so if I'm not being in the present, I put my finger up to my nose and go, remind myself that stay in this one moment right now. And in that moment, there's happiness and joy. And there's this little book that I really love that I have. It's like a children's book, and it's called The Precious Present. And if you haven't read that, it's a really sweet book about staying in the present. And so that's one thing I would recommend.
I've only got 2 more questions, and I want to see if anybody out here has a question or online. But you mentioned something. You've gotten closer to your sisters and your brother. Mm-hmm. Can you, and each of you, share a little bit about the importance of community? The importance of surrounding yourself with people that maybe are a support system or there to just simply lean on. You're here because you were part of a community that recognized your strength and your power. Can you speak a little bit more about, on the journey to healing, the tool that is community?
Well, I've been a part of Unity since 1991, and it's been a really major part of my spiritual life. I would say, I was raised Southern Baptist, and I happen to have been married to a Southern Baptist minister. So this was like, I went to Unity, and I went, wow, this feels really good. And I stayed, and so that's my big spiritual community. I've got my SIBs, which we went on a SIBS trip together last month, and it was really fun. And
can you tell me, what do you get from either your siblings or your spiritual community that is necessary for you to walk through the conditions you're dealing with?
Well, I'm really upfront and honest about what's going on with me, and so that's important, that I don't have this. So my mother died of breast cancer, and we weren't allowed to talk about her dying or being sick or anything like that the whole time she was sick, because she was going to get well. And so I don't want to do that. I want to be very honest, and I do that with my family and friends. And Bill is, my major supporter. He's my love of my life for the past 20 years, and he's been so fantastic with me and making sure that, I get the right care that I need. So
would you say that your healing would be as profound, it would not be as profound without these people around you as reminders, as support?
Yeah, they're vital to that. You and this whole congregation and my family, and I just feel enveloped in love by you, and so that's why I'm here doing this, feeling a bit nervous about opening up my heart, but I'm very blessed. I feel very blessed.
Becky, can you speak a little bit about community and the people around you that you surrounded yourself with on your process?
Yeah, community is really important to me, and I just want to add one thing to the other question. Gratitude saved me. Gratitude has saved me for the last 6 years. Thankfully, I had a friend that got me into a gratitude habit, and it has saved me. So, anyway.
I want to put an exclamation point on that. That's really important. And sometimes some people think, oh, we're going to talk about gratitude again. That's so simple. It's so surface. But what you said is what saved you, all the things we're talking about, was being thankful. That's really, really important.
Yeah, it expounds, because if if you think about what I don't have or what I'm not getting or what my body's doing, you're just going to go down a little hole. But if you're thinking about all the good things, if you think about, my target's only 3 good things a day, but I usually get more than that. But, it multiplies because then you're looking for good things. You're looking for people that bring good things and good energy. So gratitude just...
Well, Becky, what would you say to the person who might be watching or sitting in the room today? There's so much going on in my life that's difficult and tough. I don't know if I can find anything to be grateful for. What would you say to that person?
It doesn't have to be big things. And in fact, most of my things are little things. The sun shone. Or my dog did this funny thing when we were going for a walk. Or so-and-so called and said this. It's usually, you start with the big things, Well, I have a warm place to live and, food and, all those things we are grateful for. We have so much to be grateful for. And so
So let me ask you, just to put a number on it, if you were to put a percentage number on all the treatment you've gotten from modern science, from the healers in your life, your support network, what percentage of your 100% healing would gratitude play? What would you put on that, a number?
80%.
80%. Wow. It's a small little concept is obviously the lion's share. Thank you. And you don't have to answer the question because that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. So family. Mindy, you want to talk about your family or your community? I know you have a very strong community of healers around you. How have they been beneficial on your path?
Well, I want to speak to community and tag off of what Becky said, because where she would place gratitude on the scale, I would place community. It is the most important thing to me, and I can't tell you how many clients come to me and don't have the community, and that was the catalyst for why I started a lot of my women's groups where I met Kathleen and Becky. And why is community important? Because it's a safe place where you could share your most intimate, vulnerable feelings. You could feel seen and heard and loved. And even with family, in some families, in my family, I can't share these things that I would share with what I share with my ladies and what my clients share with me. And I think that there's no better medicine than that. And it's so incredibly important to have that. I went through, I was shocked last year during the pandemic. I lived by myself, so I was very isolated. And I was absolutely shocked that I didn't have a recurrence of my condition. I don't know what I was doing right, because on the surface I felt like I was doing a lot of things wrong, and it was because I lost that community and that connection. I went spiraling back into depression and anger and victimization, and all of those things just started coming up from the surface. But I guess I had enough inner strength and muscle from years of spiritual practice that it kept me. And I still had that community, even though it wasn't in person like this, which is so important, as we all know. There were still people that I could reach out to.
Inherent in what you just shared, Mindy, was, again, another principle that you brought up earlier, and that was choice. My family your family was not giving you what you needed to heal. So you made a choice to go create family, to create an environment that was supportive to what your soul was saying it needed, and that your body was actually saying it was needed. So that choice was important.
Yes, I think that's part of the journey of healing, and especially when it is incorporated with a spiritual journey, is that our tribes change. I think it was Carolyn Mace that said that we were born to individuate from our birth tribe and create other families. So they don't necessarily need to be the ones you were born into. I mean, we all have lots of little families and tribes. And so when let me speak for myself, when I went on my healing path, I started to change. I wasn't that person that was recognizable in my family. So there became some sort of, not a break, we love each other, a separation. And I gravitated towards different people. So, and that's what happens when we grow and we change. We may not get what we want, but again, choice. I had to do it for me. What's that? I think it was Eckhart Tolle that said, if you really want to know how conscious you are, spend a week with your family, right? And your family's not meant to make you happy. They're meant to make you more conscious. And so I'm grateful again for that. But when it comes to me getting what I need for my healing, I'm going to my peeps.
That's cool. So I have one more question, and I want to open it up for anybody here. We talk a lot about healing and wholeness. And the difference between healing and wholeness, it may not be a difference for either any of you. But when I think about all the great masters, all the great spiritual gurus who have walked the face of the planet, they all have one thing in common. They have given up their body, and they have transcended back to who they were spiritually. And as I reflect tonight on my friend Kathleen King, who made her transition yesterday, I know she was whole. Was there a healing of her body, or was it just a healing of the spirit? And I can say without any reservation that my last conversation with her, that she was as whole as she ever could be. And so, and I see that Sharon did type into the, Sharon, thank you for putting, she said, I learned to shift my perspective and I worked on my inner spiritual life. And let me tell you, Sharon and I walked through her cancer journey, and she, at the highest level, knew her wholeness as her body was healing. She knew the wholeness of her, who she was created in and as she walked through her healing process, and she is cancer-free now. Can any of you can grab the mic, speak about the difference for you, if there is one, between healing and wholeness?
Well, since I have the mic, I'll just say it quickly. I think they're more synonymous than opposite. I would say there's a difference between healing and curing. Absolutely, I agree, Kathleen passed whole. We can die healed, and we can live cured and still not be healed. So to me, I put healing and wholeness on the same paradigm, and that's what we're talking about tonight. We're not talking about curing.
I love that, because I love that you said there are people that are cured that are not healed. They're still living in the same depression and suffering and sadness without a chronic condition. There are people that don't have any conditions at all, and they don't have anything to cure, but they're miserable. Deanna?
Yeah, I really like what you had to say about that. I agree with your definition of healing and curing, what you just said. But the way I feel about it is I feel whole. I may not be healed, but I feel whole. And I don't feel afraid. I'm at peace with whatever comes. Now, that's who I am at this very moment. Check with me in a couple of months, but right now I'm in the present and I feel whole. So that's my little 2 cents worth.
Can you peel that back for me a little bit? What does wholeness mean to you?
Well, I've continued to be able to do the things that I like to do. I swam laps today, and I call it my Zen swim because it takes me. I'm totally. It's like meditation when I do swim inside and outside. We swim outside for all summer long, so. And now I forgot your question.
Well, that's okay, because I want to run with what you said. You were able to swim today. That was something that represented
Yeah.
wholeness for you.
Yeah.
Is it possible, and I know I can be this vulnerable with you and
Yes.
ask you to be this vulnerable, if your body was not able to swim today, could you have still been whole?
Yes, because I have my birds. I love bird watching, and I have bird feeders outside, and so I sit in my little throne, I call it, and I watch my birds, and if I feel well enough where I can do that, I take photographs of them, and one of the things that helps me feel whole is doing service work, and I'm a part of the card ministry, so I take my photographs and I make cards to send out to people that are having, challenges in their lives. So, that's part of my feeling like I'm contributing still.
Can I explore something with you? What I heard in your words, and correct me if I'm wrong, that healing would be circumstantial. It's a condition,
Yeah.
it's an external. Wholeness is a state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
That whether you're watching the birds, sitting in a card, swimming in the pool, that you're living in a state of wholeness that is not circumstantial. It's relational to the presence of your divine essence.
Yeah.
Does that
Well
feel right?
said. I like that.
Well, you said it. I just took it and then translated it. Becky, do you want to answer that before we open up the floor?
Sure, I'll just say it quickly. I compare, we talked about comparing yourselves before and after. Before, I was like a business person, but I was very, I was gay, but I kept it hidden, and because I kept it hidden, you didn't know me. You didn't know me. And then when I made that decision, it was like, God made me this way, and if I'm gay, well, gracious. And I just kind of, it wasn't that I wasn't out, but it was like I was myself, and I have been my authentic self now for the last 6 years. And even my brother died 2 months ago, and even on that day, I felt joy. I mean, there were moments of joy that I felt joy, like I knew. It was just joy, and they called me the happy. I've been like in St. Joseph's like 144 days in the last 18 months, and they call me the happy patient. And most people know me, so I love that, because to go from grouchy to the patient that none of the nurses wanted to deal with to the happy patient, Spirit's there. Spirit's
Becky,
there.
you transcended circumstances.
Yeah.
You transcended conditions. That the circumstances are going to change and they're going to move. Yet you found a joy, even in your grief of saying goodbye to your brother. You found a sense of joy. That's something that community brings. And community also brings, you've hinted about honesty, and you've really leaned into that. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to find the people I can be honest with so I can be sincerely me. Sharon put on there, and if anybody would raise your hand if you want to ask any question or make any statement, because Judith has a mic. But Sharon wrote that the Unity North Spiritual Community has been so helpful to her as she went through cancer, and she has the word can up there in big letters, and that I personally had given her some spiritual strength, but that the weekly Unity North Sunday Zoom Cafe, her community of choice, every single Sunday we're meeting and finding those people where it is raw. That Sunday Cafe is real and raw, and nothing is hidden. It's extremely honest, and extremely grateful that it's been so supportive in her soul work. And she writes, yes, 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 I start each day in a place of gratitude. She's commenting on all the comments that you've made. Is there anybody here that would either share your own story or ask a question of anybody who's on the panel here today, or have just a comment that you want to make? Anybody online? We can put those up there. I want to thank Wes and Sebastian for allowing us to be able to read the comments that are online. No questions. Well, then I'm going to ask more questions. And we're coming to the end of our time. What is the single most important thing that you have gained from the journey that you have been on? What is the single most important thing that you want to share? If there was only one thing you could share, what would it be? Becky?
Spiritual connection.
Spiritual connection to what?
I just feel a connection to the intuitively. It's like a knowing that sometimes I can tap into, sometimes I can't. And then the gratitude, I think, also is just...
Can I explore with you a little bit?
Sure.
What are you spiritually connected to? Because somebody listening might go, well, that's great. Spiritually connected is an esoteric idea. I can't get my head around it. What am I spiritually connecting to?
Well, I call God, universe, but I also, know that part of me is that God universe. And as I learn to love myself more and more, that part gets bigger. But, I feel... When I feel this connection, it's beyond like the physical, it's beyond the emotional, but it's when I can connect to God and feel like, oh yeah, that's me, and that's real, and that's love, and this is where I want to stay, but I can't most of the time.
We like to use the words connected to your divine self, and I think that's exactly what you're talking about. I'm having a physical human experience, but I am connected to a divine part of myself. Becky, the Christ. Becky, the Buddha. Becky, the light of the world.
Exactly, yeah. Those words are exactly what I'm trying to say, but it is the divine self.
Well, and let me tell you, that's what Kathleen saw. That's what we get to see. Anybody around you, that's what Judith talks about when she speaks so highly of you. She sees that divine self because you first saw it for yourself. That's perfect. Deanna.
I would say that the big thing that I have learned is I've allowed people to love me. I'm looking at dear loved ones sitting right in front of me right now, and I've always been described as a bit aloof, and now I let people know who I really am, and so that's very important to my healing my whole self by allowing myself to be loved by others and learning to love myself as well.
I think sometimes people run when they're dealing with something so tender and so emotional and so painful at times that we want to run and hide. And what I'm hearing is let yourself be loved. First love yourself and then let yourself be loved by these beautiful people.
The first week, I curled up in a ball in my room, and I didn't want to talk to anybody or, see anyone. And, we're human beings, and that's okay. I had to have time to grieve over my diagnosis, and so, but it's critically important not to isolate. For me, that's the worst thing I can do. So reaching out for help and companionship and caring from your friends and family and church members is very important, and I need to do more of that. So that's what I would have to say
We're
about
going to hold
that.
you to it. And I guarantee you, Deanna, the world is going to be, at least those watching are going to go around this week and they're going to go like this. So, Mindy, you get the final say, and then I'll go back to the piano and we'll conclude.
I would say that what I know now is that whatever is happening in my body physically has a much deeper root to it. You can't just look at what's happening in the physical manifestation without knowing that there's emotional, spiritual, and psychological contributing factors to that. And to go on a path of wholeness and healing, you have to incorporate those components as well. And so learning how to listen to my body and not always listen to what the doctors are saying, that all of the answers are within me. I just have to learn how to communicate with it, has been life-changing.
I can't tell you the number of times I've been in the hospital, either at the bedside of somebody who is going to pass, or somebody who is absolutely rising to their highest, letting go of the conditions, about reminding them, as your body knows, it was created in the image and after the likeness of knowing what it needed, and that it is just as smart as any surgeon. It's just as smart as any doctor, that we need to listen to these beautiful gifts that we have been given and listen to that divine self. I want to just thank, a lot of the ideas we talked about here tonight have been present in your sharing. There's certainly been love here. There's been vulnerability here. There's been community here. There's been family here. There's been honesty. There's been realness. And I want to thank the three of you for taking this brief amount of time, but it's not a small thing, what you have shared. If there's one gift that anybody in the room or anybody online has gotten, take it, value it. And Sharon wrote, the single most important thing I have gained is my God, my inner world is so much more important than the external world. What a great segue. Sharon, thanks for joining us. And Mary Claire, well, she'll be here next time because this is going to be a dialogue in Kathleen's honor that will continue. Kathleen wanted to have a cancer support group here at the church. And I know there are many members of our church who have dealt with very stressful, difficult things. We're going to have a group, and if you're interested, I'm going to invite you to call me, to reach out to me and say, I want to be part of that group, or maybe you want to be the one that leads it. You know, she was looking for a group for just women. Maybe she can lead the female version, and I'll hang out with the guys, and we'll do the same kind of honest dialogue. Right now, if this evening and the dialogue and the sharing had value to you, I'm going to invite you to find a way to say thank you. If these programs that we bring to you on Wednesdays and Sundays and throughout the week have meaning, say thank you with a financial contribution to make sure that we can continue to do these programs and have a space and the ability to get to you wherever you may be. Text to Give is a very easy way to do that. It's very simple. It takes a matter of moments. But this church is about everything that we've talked about. And these are examples of the kind of people that attend here, the kind of community and love that we experience. We're going to end with a very important song to Unity North that seems important here tonight. I am divine. God lives in me, as me, and I can view life differently. Each one of these ladies has viewed life differently than perhaps the world would say they needed to view life as. I am divine. God lives in me, as me, and I can view life differently. We all are one. There's the community, and we are free right now. God lives in you. God lives in me. I'm going to invite those in the room that are able to stand and sing this with me. I'll give you the words as we go. I am divine. God lives in me, as me. I am divine. God lives in me, as me, and I can view life differently, life differently. We all are one. We all are one, and we are free right now, and we are free right now. God lives in you. God lives in me. God lives in me. And God lives as us. Thanks for bringing your presence into the us that was here this evening. If you'd like to get more information or connect with any of these ladies, please call me and I'll get you in contact with them. Have a blessed and beautiful evening, and go and be whole, be healed, be you.